Boys and girls, gather around, hear the story of a woman who's hell-bound. I'm hard as nails, I used to be sweet, tears on my pillow and stains on my sheet. Have you read the news? I was born to lose. Yeah, I'm stuck in Berlin, Middelburg, the Queen Blues. I'm on my feet from 9 to 5. Sometimes I wonder if I'm dead or alive. Double hamburger on the case, swire pomfries, Rosa mayonnaise. Have you read the news? Yeah, I was born to lose. Yeah, I'm stuck in Berlin, Middelburg, the Queen Blues. Line up, boys, Donna Mommy is here. I got my bottle of poppers, mine past blue ribbon beer. The sun go up, I go to bed. The sun go down, und ich bloß dir deinem Schwanz. Have you read the news? Yeah, I was born to lose.
Welcome to Where Is My Mind, a podcast where we discuss fascinating films and end up in rabbit holes of deep self-exploration, both physical and mental. I'm Ronald Reagan's shrunken head, Parker.
I'm a cake left out in the rain, Ryan.
I dig the Donna Summer reference.
It hadn't been done yet, so it was necessary.
It's perfect. All I can think about when I hear that song is the Drag Race lip sync. So I'll have to send
it's a
it
classic.
To you. If I haven't sent it to you, I will. Today we are talking about probably the most joyfully gay thing that's also really serious that's out there. I'm kind of surprised it's not more talked about personally, but I understand the appeal. I understand the appeal of other queer directors like John Waters and whatnot. Today we're talking about City of Lost Souls, which is something you, Ryan, showed me, I think, several months ago, if I recall correctly. Do you remember how you found it? 'Cause,
I don't. It might have been, I think it was through Jubilee, and Jayne County is in Jubilee, and makes a pretty big impact. And I was very interested in what else she was in, and then saw City of Lost Souls was one of her notable films, and the cover of the film specifically, I wasn't sure what
so
we're getting
intriguing.
into. Yeah, it was
it's so
unique.
Intriguing.
And then I saw, oh well, this is a musical of sorts. It's partly in English, every third word perhaps, but mostly in German. And then I was sold, hands down. Invested.
It's
and
amazing.
We did not know what we were getting into when we first watched the film.
No, absolutely not.
Which is usually the case.
Well. I don't know if either of us looked at the plot synopsis. We were let's just watch this. It's kind of how most things turn out.
Yep.
I think it was one we just winged link, but I have this thing. Let's watch it. It's not a hard process.
No, but it hooks you right from the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. It's very compelling. And on the surface, I don't think I quite picked up on the seriousness of it when I first watched it. Just the first go around, it just seemed it's not punk. I don't think it's as punk as Jubilee, even with, Jayne County with a very central role. But it's, a lot of singing and dancing, but it's also there are some very real stories and some very real reflections about, moving from America to Germany, and having some hindsight and, how, queer people are treated and whatnot. So it's very interesting, and there's a lot of discussions and stories in it that are not exploitative anyway. They feel more educational and just making people aware. This is 1983, so there are a couple of outdated terms that I was we don't use that term anymore. But it's just So it's really good. And before we go any further, if you want to watch this before we get into this episode, which I highly recommend you do, it's on YouTube.
No excuses. You have to watch this.
There's no excuses. It is on YouTube. It's probably age restricted, but it's there.
And it's
I'm
fun.
Just saying.
It's exceptionally fun. And there are serious moments of monologues that strike you not so much as acting, but actually just human beings that are discussing their lives.
Yeah. A lot of encounters and that sort of thing. It's totally worth just sitting through. We watched a couple of things from this director, Rosa von Praunheim, which we'll get into in a second. And they were a bit more serious. Let's just put it that way. We'll put it that way. They were a bit more serious. Let's talk about the director, Rosa von Praunheim. You said he had like 5 names or something like that.
Yeah, he was born Holger Bernhard Bruno Valdemar Mischwitzky.
Okay.
The last one's kind of tough.
Yeah. He changed his name to Rosa von Praunheim in the early 60s. I believe the first part of his name is to like recognize the pink triangle that homosexuals would wear in the concentration camps. It seems that he is very well known in the queer circles of the German-speaking world, so Austria, Germany, that sort of thing. Had like a semi-normal upbringing. His mother died when he was really young, so he grew up with an adopted mother. Did not find this out until he was an adult. He made a movie about it in 2007 called Two Mothers. Grew up in East Berlin and then escaped to the West when he was 11. He dropped out of Berlin University of the Arts and started out as a painter before moving into filmmaking full-time, which I believe he still paints and curates, like museum exhibitions and whatnot. He's still around, and I believe he lives in Berlin with his husband. So we could only find like a couple things, like, because like some of that stuff you gotta like really dig deep. Kind of like what we had to do with Schlingensief, right?
Yeah, it was very similar.
So, but again, the things I watched were both on YouTube. One of them, and I'm both kind of I'm surprised that they're both on there, but they're there, and I'm not going to complain about it. The first one, and probably the most well-known, is one of his very early films. It is not the homosexual who is perverse, but the society in which he lives, from 1971. I want you to think about that, because the stuff this film tackles in like an hour's span is really revolutionary. We both thought, oh, this has to be like, later in the 70s, perhaps. Not quite the 80s because of like how they're dressed. No, 1971. There's no sound. There's not like a lot of sound. It's just a lot of like here and there narration. I think the best way it describes is it's like, here's gay people for straight people. And it's made by a gay person. And it talks about all the stereotypes and the reasons for them. And it feels like a giant call out, but it's not. It's very real. It's not mean. That's what I liked about it. I was like, it's not a dick, for like a lack of a better word.
Yeah, there's really not a lot of it's not specifically vicious in any sense. And it really goes through a lot of cliches and so forth, which is interesting. But then it gets into like the class hierarchical.
There's a lot of classism. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a lot of like, there's a lot of closeted gay people in like the bourgeoisie, and they're like ashamed of it, but like they rope in younger gays, and it's a whole thing. And it's like it's a bit tough to digest. I think for something that's, pre-AIDS, pretty good. And it does end with like a sort of message about like, what it shouldn't be to be, a gay person, and that like, we shouldn't be compelled to hide this sort of thing, and that we should be treated as equals despite all the disgusting shit, and also that we should probably eliminate the gross stereotype stuff, like the public bathroom stuff. That's not cool. Or like
they're well, and then we were mentioning like the leather scene folks of of that, like pre-cruising, obviously, because
What
this
is
is
that?
1971, and the poor guy's like, I don't know the codes, I don't know
There's
the
no
rituals
handkerchief or anything. They're
no
just like standing around. And like when he's not the main character, Daniel, it's the film itself, I should mention. Like if there's a plot, like a very loose plot, it's just this guy who moved from America. His name is Daniel. And it's him just sort of like gradually exploring his sexuality as he, is living in Berlin. Yeah, it's like this is about midway through the movie, and like before he enters like this public park, it's just all these leather dudes grabbing at each other, and it's weird. There's no sound either. So you're just forced to watch.
It's like a cleaned up version of, say, like Scorpio Rising by Kenneth Anger.
Yeah.
So there's less
totally worse, but it's just weird. That's not something I'm into. And then Daniel walks in and it's just like, he's trying to find someone, and then it just doesn't work out.
You feel bad for him because he's trying to navigate his life, so to speak, through these different circles, and most of them don't work out well.
Yeah, it's a lot of attention is paid to like longing and like trying not trying to find love, like trying to find a good time, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's true. I can say pretty safely that's somewhat true. It's difficult. So the other thing we watched was Silence Equals Death from 1990. This deals directly with AIDS, pretty head on, and how it impacted the gay community, specifically in New York City. You and I, if I recall correctly from like anything I learned in high school, we're not really told about like the real impact of AIDS. Like even if we talked about like, history through, American history through 9/11, I don't ever remember being told like this is a big thing. Like thousands of people died because of this virus that like, that like basically people just kind of stood by and let it happen. It's a very grounding and serious documentary. It's a tough watch for sure.
Yeah, it really is. It starts off fairly graphic, although it's a simulated sequence of events of the end of someone's life.
Pretty graphic.
And there are moments in it where people are at the later stages of their lives with the disease and extremely angry. I know one poignant moment was somebody saying like, when I pass, I would just want my friends to, take my body and just, chuck it toward the White House kind of thing to get more recognition and so forth to respond. And by the late 80s, especially, things, the corner definitely wasn't turned by 87, 88. So it was still just a lot of folks were pretty aghast at the governmental lack of response and so forth. And this film definitely, it goes through and tells the story of a lot of different people and their experiences with the disease.
It's very serious. Talks about, safe sex education, which, isn't good, even to this day, in our public school systems. And just, I think like the theme, not to, get too crazy or anything, but it's just like the theme of like inaction regarding like very serious issues is still quite prevalent today, it seems.
Oh yeah.
It's not good. And I kind of just closed out with, it has every single right to be as angry as it is. Like, it just does. So this is the fun part about queer histories. You get to be like silly sometimes, but then you have to talk about AIDS. So
yeah, this is with the exception of a couple scenes in the film, could easily be something probably shown to teenagers in schools or things along those lines. because there's just moments that are just not graphic and very informative.
No, the
as
opening
well. Just tells a certain history of what really went down and what kind of happened on the ground level for human beings going, what's going on with the lack of just acknowledgement, I think was
absolutely
a big part.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are both on YouTube. We did not have a lot of luck finding other things. A friend of the podcast, Adriana, recommended to me a documentary called Transsexual Menace, which seemed like, a sort of trans rights, sort of documentary. I don't think we found it. And then there was a movie called Horror Vacui. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well. Which is also about it's like an avant-garde, sort of kind of horror leaning maybe. Involves this gay couple living in Berlin. One is an artist, one's studying medicine. And then there's and one of them gets involved with a cult. So it looks really good. I just wish I could find it.
It's a compelling one. I'm still after the Fassbinder's Women documentary that was made in 2000. So it's pretty old, but I'm going to have to try to look for some type of rental to be able to watch it. It sounds wonderful to me because it's described as the willing victims of Fassbinder. So that's already catnip. With that sort of
we all know anything involving Fassbinder is just the quickest way to get Ryan to anything.
I snap to real quick, and the attention is serious. The other one that I think looked fun, it was a drama comedy, was Anita Dance of Vice from 1988, and that looked quite interesting also, because it's the main character is in a mental hospital and has to kind of act out her final days and strange stuff. So might be something on the horizon if we're able to try to track those down.
Yeah. Praunheim's made over 150 films, both, shorts and feature length. He's quite prolific.
Yeah, it's a harder deep dive, whereas Schlingensief, you were in on Christoph for a good month of thorough.
We had long enough. This one not so much, but that's okay.
No. Yep,
it's okay. I'm not mad. He's also a prolific author. Most of what he writes, most of it's German language, so I don't know what's going on. But he did in 1980. He wrote a book called Army of Lovers, which is like a selection of interviews from another film he wrote, which I believe was titled Army of Lovers, or what does that mean? I have the Letterboxd link somewhere.
It's a little cryptic. It's a little bit cryptic.
It's something of the perverts, and I'm like, where is it? I'm so sorry. Revolt of the Perverts. Army of Lovers or Revolt of the Perverts. Yeah, that is a little cryptic. That was kind of odd. Oh well. So, yeah, most of what he writes, paints, films, pretty heavily deals with, LGBTQ advocacy. God, it's really progressive for 70s, 80s, 90s. He's ahead of a curve. He was definitely ahead of the curve as far as talking about a lot of issues. I think even today, not a lot of, I think, as time goes on, we're getting more representation, but not a lot of mainstream stuff in the United States, even today, covers a lot of the ground he does. So, progress. Lots of progress. So this film opens up with a card in English that says, "Dedicated to my friend Mike and his parrot Bully." I don't know what that means.
Parrot representation as pet owners, respect to them. Bird people,
we have to have parrot representation in media, guys. It's good. So we get the opening credits. Jayne County, who is one of our main characters, is singing not the theme song, but like the Burger Queen song, because they her and like all the rest, most of the rest of the cast work at this like fast food joint called the Burger Queen, and they're all cleaning the restaurant, and then she's fabulous. I love her music. If y'all haven't heard of Jayne County, we're gonna get more into her, but like her music slaps. Incredible, wonderful, love it. Most of it is in English at this point, some German.
So this film is in German, but has so much English going on that
but it's fine.
It's hysterical.
It's fine. I like it. In the middle of the song, Angie Stardust, who's kind of the manager of this, little fast food joint, is kind of like, no, you all need to get back to work. So, like, we don't sing, we don't dance, I don't pay you to do this, go back to work. So, and then we kind of start getting introduced to characters when these two Americans looking to, stay in Berlin for quite some time, walk in, Judith and Tron.
Tron von Hollywood? That yes. Tron?
Yeah, that Tron.
Okay.
Yeah, no, not the science fiction. Not the science fiction.
This one's better.
Yes, this is much better. So a lot of the narration comes from Judith, which it's in German, but like she's an American, so it sounds like something out of like a German class in high school. I'm trying to think of like one of the sentences.
The pronunciations specifically are really stilted, but that adds to the character. Yeah.
But it makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. It's not like, doesn't feel weird. So she's like describing all the different characters, and I think we'll just talk about cast members according to how she introduced them. Judith and Tron, I think I said, are American dancers. They're kind of known for like this erotic trapeze act, which I was like, what does that mean?
It sounds dangerous and it's possibly sleazy.
It sounds weird, but it looks interesting. They're in Berlin and they walk into the Burger Queen and they need a place to stay. So Angie's like, oh, I have like this pension place that like you guys can stay at, with the rest of these people. Judith, the actress who plays Judith, is pretty much playing herself. I believe her name is Judith Flex. She's, a dancer, trained in, ballet, modern dance for a very long time. Moved to Berlin in 1980. She currently works as a choreographer and a dance teacher, so she's still around. You can find information on her pretty easily. The thing that I was like, looking at her IMDb, I was like, all right, let's just see what pops up. Because sometimes you'll like look at these people and like, this is like the only thing they've done, or it's like really hard to find information. She was in Seduction, the Cruel Woman from 1985, I think. That has submissive Udo Kier. What do you mean?
Which you highly recommended.
I recommend it.
Does have Udo.
You haven't seen, I don't know if you've seen it, but like
not.
I saw it once without subtitles and once with, then I still didn't know what was going on. I need to rewatch it for like a lot of reasons. But I remember it being fine. I don't remember her being in that. But interesting film if you want to, look it up. I found it on a porn site. Shocking.
I'll try to find it on a library site.
Yeah,
perhaps.
Like an actual website, not like something that like you feel dirty if you don't have your ad blocker.
There's going to be a lot of pop-ups and 3 viruses that show up. So.
Oh yeah, I gotta get crucifix out for that one. Yeah, and then Tron von Hollywood seems like he's using his real name. I couldn't find anything on him because you look up his name, even with the other part of it. You'll just get stuff for Tron.
Yeah, he has his vocal tone and the hairstyle that he has going on reminded me specific. Hetfield? What's that?
James Hetfield?
No, Timothy Timothy Treadwell from Grizzly Man. It's a Werner Herzog film.
That's right, yeah.
Where the bear eats, there's like a flexing with Monty, we bring in the bear. The bear wins, interestingly enough, and things don't go so great. It's
guys, we brought up our two favorite things: Udo Kier and bears.
And there's
they don't go well in the same room together.
No, but Gary, not Gary. I'm sorry,
Gary.
Tron. We'll get to Gary. Tron von Hollywood. He has that kind of half He-Man haircut kind of thing going on.
He's interesting.
And I just couldn't help but thinking like him talking to bears in Alaska.
Oh my God, yeah.
Throughout the film.
Yes. All right. One of the workers, Jayne County's character, is it Lila or Leela? We had a discussion about this and I don't remember what we decided.
Yeah, we weren't quite sure.
I don't remember how. I'm going to pronounce it Leela.
Sure.
And if it's wrong, but you're going to know who I'm talking about.
You can be Leela, I'll be Lila. It'll all be good.
This is like where our regional differences really begin to show off, because that's like we can't figure out how to pronounce certain things. Jayne County is one of the few people in this who's playing a character as opposed to like playing a version of themselves. She's playing Leela, who is this, woman from the southern United States. So of course I feel represented.
Mm-hmm.
Who's, only in Berlin because she has heard she can find love there and she wants to be like this movie star. Jayne County is still around. She's a transgender woman who's more or less a punk icon. She did grow up in the South and moved to New York to become a performer. And she's had the most success out of all of the cast members in this, especially those that are still living. So she's a lot of fun to watch because she's just in hysterics most of the time. And most of her stuff is in English. Like it's like with Judith, where it's like most of it's in English, and when she does go into German, it's very like stilted and still has that southern accent.
Yeah, she can't really lose the accents. It's just roll with it and you'll be fine.
It's very funny. And then we get Gary, who I could not find anything on his actor because his name is Gary Miller.
As Tron, he does a fantastic job, but you do feel like this is probably his best and maybe only role.
Yeah,
there probably wasn't a lot of other films to his credit.
As far as we can tell, just from this, he's a trained dancer who's into black magic, and he has religious things in his room, and they're pretty close to orgies.
Yeah, he's got a lot of group therapy, eccentric group therapy sessions going on.
It looks like fun. I think he's the guy in the poster.
Yes, he is.
I think it's him. Yeah, he's fun. And you get Loretta. I could not find any information on her actress, Lauren Muthke. She's like this very sad, depressed woman who, she wants to be an actress, but she's never really taken serious by anybody around. You don't get as like much screen time with her as you do some of the other characters, but she's around. She shares a room with Tara O'Hara, who I did some research like on her, and I felt sad because she grew. This is not fun. Yeah, grew up in New Orleans. Traveled to Berlin to be an English teacher. Eventually found out that she was like, it's not my business, I suppose, but I'm like, I don't know what her gender deal is, because it looks like she has breast, but I think she's still, nothing's changed below the belt. After filming was completed, it is believed she was found beaten in the street, beaten to death in the street.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah. Like I found, like when I was like looking up information, I found her on like a remembering our dead page, where it's like talking about like, forgotten trans people. There are some records out there that say she's still living in Berlin with a husband. So not a lot, again, one of those cases where there's just not a lot out there. If it's true that, she died in the 80s, that's, very tragic. But basically, Tara brings in the movie, she brings in lots of men to quote unquote teach them English. So I'm sure you know what that means. She shares a room with Loretta, and she like kicks Loretta out a lot. So that you get a scene devoted to that, don't worry.
Well, there's a top-down view also of that like spider web kind
Really cool looking, but
it's neat looking, but it's just really odd because
I have questions.
Yeah.
And you get Joaquin, who they don't really elaborate much on him at this point. Like, the only line I really remember was them saying Joaquin's future is Angie's past. But what I found on him, he does have a Wikipedia page, so that always helps. He, was born in Cuba, immigrated to the US, began performing in theater, both, in and out of drag. Moved to Berlin in the 80s. He's in a lot of Praunheim's films, it seems. He seems like an overall cool guy, from what I recall. If that makes any sense.
Well, his singing, too, is like reminding me a lot of like Sylvester from the disco era. I was like, whoa, this is awesome. This guy can really sing, as opposed to
some other people.
Yeah, Jayne, I don't.
She's not supposed to be able to sing.
Yeah, it's
and then
sort of like
she's supposed to be like some like tone deaf person.
Yeah, it's like talking over music kind of vibe to it, which is fun because it's 50s.
It's fine for this. I like her music outside of this.
She talks a lot about Pabst Blue Ribbon and poppers, so
yes,
like all right, okay,
like
fascinating.
So yeah, and then they mentioned Angie. Angie Stardust was, very early trans woman. You get a lot of her story in this, of like, her. You get like a scene, talking about her upbringing. How she, she always knew she was a woman. Moving to Germany in the 70s. After the filming was completed, she got gender reaffirming surgery. I believe she was taking hormones before. Founded her own nightclub in 1990, which is still in operation. Huge advocate in Berlin. She died in 2007. It's just like sort of like her memorial, because she's like kind of the leader of them all, of like everyone in this.
Yeah,
I would affectionately call her mother, because that's kind of her figure in this.
Yeah, because the other folks are just kind of running amok pretty regularly, and she's like, "I'm trying to run the Burger Queen here."
She's like, "I'm trying to do this thing, and like, you all have to pay your rent, all that sort of thing." So yeah, it says in the film that she was a transgender performer, before she began managing the fast food joint. And then you get like a little bit of one of her performances. I think it's like some weird act with like a dude, and she's in like leopard print. I don't remember much of it. I remember I was like, this isn't significant. But, like, you just kind of see what she's about, and she sings. I think she's quite a good singer.
Yeah. It's out of all of the songs of the film, this one was fine. It just kind of needs to move the plot along a little bit. And was all right.
So she is called a businesswoman, for better or for worse. You get to see Judith and Tron's act. Judith's nipples are bright red, and I can't tell if they're just like that or if they're pasties.
I think it was the latter. I think it was but it's hard, again, kind of tough to tell from a distance there.
It's fine. It's fine. It looks like a fun act. Oh, well. So then it cuts to Tron with another man in bed, either giving or receiving a massage. I cannot tell. He's talking a lot about like his stripped upbringing in a religious, conservative home in California. How he left so he could, just kind of be himself. Started working as a stripper, doing adult films. You get some pictures with him on a trapeze and a snake and not much else.
That's got to be a first.
And cool. Both kinds of snakes. Again, just because I couldn't find information on him, I'm assuming part of this has to be real. Sometimes that line is very blurred. Like, sometimes it's clear what's real and what's fake. This is one of those times where I'm like, I cannot tell what is going on.
I'd like to believe that he left the film and then started a cult and so forth. Involved with colors and spectrum stuff. Like that would be...
I want to believe, like, for any cast members that we don't know, I would like to believe that is what happened afterwards.
He's probably teaching botany in Kansas. I mean, it's just practical.
I know. But yeah, he just, he makes a pretty, pretty, not outward, but a very, like, understandable statement when he says, I'm not gay, straight, bisexual, or trisexual. I'm just sexual. And I'm like, yeah, mood. I get it.
He's candid.
He's candid. He's honest. That's even if it's like, scripted or not scripted, this film, all of Praunheim's films are very honest. And that's kind of refreshing. This one's like the right balance of like honest and real and camp, because there's a lot of camp.
There is. Yeah, there's a high camp factor, and there's moments where a lot of the characters you simply don't know if they're just talking and just being candid, really. And there's not always acting as the push to be funny. So it does make you feel like you're very much on your toes for most of the film.
Yes.
Which is fun.
It's very captivating.
Mm-hmm.
It's very nice. Speaking of like very like, odd, funny things, you get like this clip of like Judith and Sean, probably shortly after they've moved in, they're just on the street and they're like talking to the camera and they're like, oh yeah, we love Germany, everyone here is so nice, blah, 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 we love, how our little apartment, looks German. And then Sean freaking brings up, oh yeah, my grandmother always used to say, work makes you free, Arbeit macht frei, from a certain thing that I have seen in person. Yeah. And just, I think it's a definitely, this is one of the times you can definitely tell it's scripted, because no one just says that without knowing what they're talking about.
Yeah. It's pretty on the surface
no
phrase.
one just fucking says that. Cut to like this little racist kid who's just like, I can't even say it. I can't say. He's dropping the N-word in German. It's just like, he's saying, and Angie's like, next to him, and she's just like, ugh, kids. I'm like, yeah, mood. And she's just like, no one has, even like in the, several years she has been in Germany, no one has learned shit as far as racism goes. So there's a political aspect of this that like keeps kind of coming back, of like, I think Schlingensief talked a lot about this when we talked about him, but it's just kind of like, hey, this thing in our history is kind of still here. We got to deal with it. That's kind of...
And Angie's like, the people are like the weather, cold, cold, cold.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, okay. And yeah, she's like, been here 13 years, nothing's changed.
Yeah, she's like, you don't see me going around, being like, oh yeah, 10 little whiteies in the river, whatever. One fell off and now there's only 9, or whatever the rhyme that kid goes on. And I was like, oh God. So that's fun. So Judith and Tron end up at the foreigner's office, or what the translation calls the alien's office, because that's where like all the immigrants go to get their records and like be like, this is where we, we're born, this is where we're from, these are our parents, that sort of thing. The guy who was working there is just not, he's not nice. They
did interrupt him on his lunch break. I mean, that's a relatable kind of thing, but still.
They're like, we've been waiting here for 4 hours. Then they're like, we've been waiting here a while, and like, you're being a dick. So he's like, he's kind of like it's like this weird like double-edged sword where it's like he basically says, oh, if Hitler wasn't so stupid, we would have won the war. But then it's also like kind of calling out how arrogant Americans are, because they pretty much are just like, oh, but we won the war, that sort of thing. So it's a bit of like a give and take. It's not like this is not pro anything except maybe just be pro extremely queer. That might be the only thing this film is pro of anything.
Yeah, and Judith and Tron are kind of impatient. They're like, we're Americans, so you give us our papers. We're here in Germany. We're Americans. Papers, please. And so it's like they're very demanding and yes. Entitled.
Yes.
Which is not good in a foreign embassy, generally speaking. So
no, it's not good anywhere, but
no.
I mean, I worked at a place where there's like a bunch of July 4th stuff out, and I have to like fold clothes of it and stuff. It's just like, oh my God. Yeah, and then it cuts to Gary doing black magic, unspecified black magic. I think it involves like a spider and like what looks like green grits, from what I can tell. It looks interesting. It's very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean he's starting his practice of whatever that may be, and so far it doesn't really look terribly harmful to himself or other people.
It's just a little weird.
Subject to change, of course.
Yeah, of course, yes. They're all kind of living together. There's not too much conflict at this point.
Until Gary puts a dog in the oven.
Yeah, there's that.
There's that part where Gary
there's that little part, and he's just like, no, we don't do that here.
Yeah, that was like, oh, this better not go
like
further.
Little, like, white dog.
Poor small dog. And it's just they start to move it toward the oven, and I'm like, somebody better get that thing out.
Get that thing out of there. It's very funny. It's kind of funny because she like quickly is just like, no, we don't do that here. Yeah, there's like a little bit where it's like Tron is like waiting to use the bathroom and Gary's just like dancing around him and he's just like, oh my god. And then like Leela walks out just like boobs and face painted white and red. Yeah, I agree.
I think that's a statement.
Which dog is it?
That was Kimmy.
Kimmy, what do you think of this?
She's like, I think Angie looks like Alejandro Jodorowsky with the big hair.
Yeah, she looks like she got electrocuted.
They both have a response.
Nugget's like just on the other side of my wall and he's just like sitting in his little blankie like I'm comfortable. Yeah, so Leela walks out, with like her just looking crazy. And then you get cut to like Reagan on the TV. It's like some American thing. Okay. Because, there was a lot of nationalism during the 1980s. So, I mean, hence my intro. And they all just start singing the national anthem. And Leela is just hilariously tone deaf. And then Gary crawls in, naked, wearing one of those rubber masks. Like those like rubber politician masks that are kind of creepy.
Well, they're Halloween. Really? Yeah. That's what we used to, they were kind of like, I don't think they sell a lot, but they're always sort of there. I mean, it could have been Nixon. Around. That would have been more fun, but I guess, for the time.
Now they're kind of like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? But yeah, he like crawls in wearing one of those and it's just weird. And Tron's, bragging about, I'm an American. I'm proud to be an American, whatever. And then Leela kind of gives like some spoken word act regarding the same thing, but then also just explicitly saying she does not like communist.
And all the while, like Yankee Doodle Dandy is being played. Now, this is a little bit of a tangent, but I was like, oh, that's a Casio VL1, which is this really small pocket synthesizer. And most folks will know that, not specifically the model, of course, but they will know the sound because there's a German band called Trio that did the song Da 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 in 1982. And it's used like in Volkswagen commercials and probably other. It was kind of fun to hear like, oh, they're using stuff from the time.
Yeah. See, like, here's where it's funny because it's like before we started recording, I was like, I found like, we watched like this really heavy documentary on AIDS. And like when I was researching, I found that like one of the cast members was killed, after filming and like, all this sad stuff. And you're like, oh yeah, my trivia is, this synthesizer. I recognize.
Yeah. It's like, this is a really upbeat, happy song. And nobody really, there are not many other lyrics to the song, but we balance the heavy with levity and small details.
That sort of sums up like the research process for any episode. Finding out something really sad and the other one's like, ha, look at this.
It's true. I was fixated on Lila when the sequence where Tron has to go to the bathroom and he's doing like, I gotta go. And then when she shows up, she's holding three different toothbrushes in this like really cryptic, strange way to hold them. And it's one of the most bizarre still photos. This whole episode and film are a treasure trove of screen caps for Instagram.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, I think like it's during like the spoken word, which like Layla pretty much just says, if you don't like it my way, I'm gonna line you up against a wall. Then it cuts to Gary reading like this book about the Third Reich. And he's just sitting there reading it.
And
Gary's black.
And Lila's like, well, I want to be the one to push the button. So this like fatalistic, no pinko red commies are going to tell me what to do.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Kind of behavior.
God, I love Jayne County. Yeah, and it cuts I think it cuts to a scene in the Hamburger Queen. Let's just say the food doesn't look good. Like, I was hungry before we started recording, and like now that I'm thinking about the food, I'm not hungry anymore. It doesn't look good. It looks like it's like covered in mayonnaise. It's everything.
It's the people making the food, the people consuming the food. It's really unappealing stuff.
It's like, I'm sure it's intentional.
It's a 50s diner from hell kind of effect.
That's the best way to say it.
Diners, drive-ins, and don'ts, and this place is on the fucking don't list. Like, it's not.
Then it cuts to Angie singing about, home, and like, this is one of those bits where you get like a very real bit of like her life. Basically saying that, she grew up in Harlem, had a very rough upbringing, her dad, lots of domestic violence, her mom just didn't quite get it. I think the song she sings more centers around home, and she's just like, I miss it, even though like everyone hates each other. It's kind of to the point of like, it does take a lot to figure out what home is for people, especially for, those of us, who are not accepted by like, our biological family. But it genuinely seems that like Angie has found like what that is for her, and she's happy where she is, across the sea, running her nightclub, or her Burger Queen rather.
Mm-hmm.
This film does use the term transsexual instead of transgender, which isn't like a huge. I think it's 1983. It's not a huge nitpick, but like that is they use that in transvestite quite a bit, which it's just a little outdated. I'm not trying to be like, no, this is all wrong. I'm not trying to pull that. It's just, it's an observation.
Well, and her nostalgia for home, even though she's in a place where she would rather be, the line of like choking on poisoned air, surrounded by bums, rats, and slums. I was like, okay, well, some of that you might miss, and other parts she's certainly found a new life.
She's talking about, her transition, when she was trying to, become a performer in New York City, there was a lot of racial prejudice, and now, she's in Germany and has a girlfriend that she's happy with.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's just a very sweet and reflective moment. It's I think it's one of the highlights of the films. The film kind of just, sticks out with me. And then here's a great example of we get something serious and then we get something totally kind of nonsensical. So Judith and Tron hang upside down from their trapezes, talking about their, let's just call them coworker issues.
Yeah, they got a lot going on.
Yeah, Judith is not happy that like he's like this crazy party boy who's like, getting the drugs. He's got like a leg brace on. He's sleeping with the plumber.
And it's hard to act because of his injury, because he was all strung out on drugs and got injured in the process. So
she's not happy. And then it cuts to Tara. Leela is like sorting onions or some shit on the floor of the restaurant, and then Tara just walks over to her, and it's just like, "You want to meet with this politician? Because I don't want to do it."
Yeah, it's odd handoff of a dating prospect.
Very strange handoff. But then she's like, "But no, I can get you a." She's like, "Oh, but I can also, while I'm at it, I can get you like the showgirl job," because that's what Leela kind of wants in the end. So it's interesting. This whole meeting with like, it cuts to like this meeting with like this Berlin politician. It's kind of, dare I say, his ideals are a bit close to nationalistic. Is that a reach?
Oh yeah, yeah. When she seems to be pretty amused or not dissuaded, which is
she's very squirmy.
Yeah.
I don't think the encounter ends well, but it's kind of funny. It's just kind of funny because, you know, it's just her stealing the scene from this guy who's like trying to like talk her into like his ideals. So I think it's funny.
Yeah, because she starts just like down in wine, and then the whipped cream comes out, and then her rants kind of in the midst of it as well are pretty fun.
You know, so it cuts to Judith and another German American, I think, you know, and they're talking, and it's found out that Judith is Jewish, and then this other person, they're both Jewish, and and these two women are, you know, talking, you know, about how it seems that like Germany hasn't really moved past the Nazi ideals, you know, and that Germany's very unwelcome towards, you know, anyone who moves there, you know, tourists, that sort of thing, you know, and that, you know, those like, you know, those terrible ideas that, you know, were supposedly gone after the war, they're still there. They're just not quite as forward as they once were, say, in like the 1930s, you know? So it's just, yeah, oddly, very reflective moment. Again, can't quite tell if it's real or fake. It's, you know, it's just, it's nice. I like that it's in there.
Well, Joaquin starts explaining the gimmick that
like
they'll need to be a success.
To be a successful, you know, dancer, stripper, whatever.
Yeah, which is kind of like this, like you're trying to give business advice, but also like I have to have a shtick. I have to have like something. But then he breaks into this Caliente hot song dance sequence, and the song is hysterical. I mean, it's very simple in the lyrics, and they also push to say caliente and then hot. So if you don't know what caliente means, it's okay. He's got you covered.
La Berlin, I make it hot. I do strip shows and night cafe. I sing and dance the night away. Dance with me, play my game. I love Berlin, I make it hot. I do striptease and night cafe. I sing and dance the night away. Dance with me, play my game. I'm hot. Androgynous people moving faster, in and out, reaching climax more than once, dancing to the music of the new wave sound. Sabor caliente. Con mi tumbao, rumba y bongo, yo muevo al pueblo con mi sabor caliente. Hot. I sing and dance the night away. Dance with me, play my game. I love Berlin, I make it hot. I do resort in night cafe. I sing and dance the night away. Dance with me, play my head. I'm hot.
And the movie has a lot of that where they'll use a certain German word and then say the English version. Yeah.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun to watch. You know, he's, you know, big into androgyny. Leela's like at first, like when he's performing, you know, Leela just like is kind of sitting her she's just kind of, if I remember, she's like not pleased with it, but then like eventually kind of gets into it, you know. It's just another one of those moments where it's like she has no fucking clue what's going on, but she's having fun.
Well, and Leela also does the trying to determine what kind of feathers that she's gonna wear, because she's like,
what do I need? Oh, glitter and feathers.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, she's like, that'll make me a star. What's going on? But then pigeon. She's like, if I do pigeon feathers, that's going to be the most economical.
They're cheap.
Option.
Yes.
They're cheap. They'll work fine.
And then cuts to Gary having another religious thing in his group, one of those group therapy sessions in his room with all the naked people.
And faux candles, you know, not actual candles. So that's just, you know, good to be cognizant of staying away from fire hazards. But
fire hazards,
he really starts into like his kind of prophetic rantings. Kind of, we get the first glimpse of him. It's kind of,
I was like, what's going on? Yeah, and then like And they all begin crawling into Angie's room, and it's funny because they're all and she's like vacuuming, and they're all crawling in, and she's like scolding them.
Yeah, they're getting in the way of her trying to get some chores done, and she's got these naked hippies running amok, running around crawling around on the floor, and then she's checking.
She's checking like, are you a boy or a girl? You're a girl.
Yep. Yeah, it's really bizarre, and they just keep on showing up and crawling through.
Yeah, and then she's like, Garrett, you cannot have you cannot keep having group therapy in the house. You just can't keep doing this. And
they have to pay the rent. Because she's trying to vacuum. They're not paying the rent. It's like
not going well.
Not going well at all.
And Loretta is there, and she's like in this conflict with like this dude. And then Judith begins to flirt with the same guy. She's like, oh, do you like strong women? You know, do you fight with strong women? You know, that sort of thing. She kind of looks like Frankenfurter. Like, her makeup kind of looks like that. Mm-hmm. Like, I was like, I can't be the only one who's missing. I can't be the only one who's thinking this.
Yeah, because the guy's having like a full-on, domestic with his girlfriend, and they're throwing each other around. And then, Judith is just like,
you like strong women.
Yeah, can you continue doing that, but with somebody else, meaning her?
So they go on a date the next day. And he shows her the old empty Nazi embassies. He's kind of like, they're talking in the park, and he's like, oh yeah, my family had like a bunch of Nazis, and she's like, Jewish. She's like, oh yeah, but everything has to be Jewish. And they're kind of just sitting in the park, and she's like, they're kind of like, I think he's like, can we make this work? Like, my family's full of Nazi sympathizers and you're Jewish. And she's like, yeah, we can make it work because we're in modern times and that's in the past. Let's keep moving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they hit it off pretty well. It's one of those moments where like, oh, things might work out all right for these two folks.
Yeah, it's like, again, it's just like moments like that where it's like, sometimes it's very, sad and like nihilistic. Sometimes it's very funny and campy. But like the ultimate point Praunheim kind of wants to get across is that like there is hope. There's room to grow. And that, we can continue evolving. Speaking of evolving, I have like this quote of like this weird promiscuous old lady who walks into the Burger Queen, and she just like has this poster that says life can't have luck until a college is fuck. And then Joaquin just begins like singing to her, and they're kind of hitting it off, and it's all about like universal love. You see a bunch of people make it out. It's interesting.
Yeah, his song is probably like up to this point in the film. This one just launches. It's a lot of fun.
It's fun.
It's really entertaining.
It's really fun. I was just like, it's kind of like the thing of like love is love, kind of what we've been preaching for years now. I was like, this is the Pride anthem. This is like why we have this thing, like, because I get relatives who are like, why do you guys have your own month? Do you like, you've probably heard that question, and I'm like, I can never properly explain it, but it's like, well, some people just don't fucking get it.
The Bible says we're all free men and always equal in the eyes of God. Black or white, we are the children, and with open arms he give his love. Yet those very words of trust and love can we quickly turn around. Oh, where is all the talk of love in the brotherhood of men, I ask? I'm not ashamed of who I am. Well, isn't it love what counts, my friends? Regardless of what I may do in bed, why can't I live in my own world? Is that love a man or love a woman? It's no one business but my very own. Lesbians, homosexuals, transsexuals, man, woman, bisexuals, young and old, we are human. Oh, why can't I love my own free way? I had enough of pretending
get another probably very real scene where Tara wants, to try on some of Angie's clothes because she's going out on a date. And they have a very, lengthy discussion about the difference between, in their words, the difference between transvestites and transsexuals. I think what we would call it now is maybe more, because I don't think we use the word transvestite much nowadays.
Yeah, this section felt very purposefully educational for the time, essentially. But yeah, terminology is just not contemporary.
Yeah, it's more like drag queens versus trans women.
Yeah.
And Angie does go kind of on a little bit of a tangent, being listen, trans women, had to be spit on, screamed at, criminalized for wearing women's clothes, and that sort of progress paved the way for people who don't want to change their bodies, but they still want to dress in women's clothes and perform, and they're on good terms. This isn't a hateful thing. They're still talking, but there is a very clear difference between the two of them. It's kind of it's heartfelt. It's kind of nice. It's kind of nice to have it in there.
Yeah, little poignant moments like that kind of intersperse some of the more wacky, or
it's very earnest.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get Leela's stage debut, which is comically bad. I don't even. It's not good.
Is this where she does the song? She falls in love with a Russian? No, that's coming up.
No, that's later.
Yeah,
it's she's not doing a good job of being a stripper.
Oh, that's right. This was sort of where she's the crowd is kind of
they're not
heckling
clean,
her,
not
and it's bad.
It's not funny. It's kind of funny. She's walking off stage, and then there's this guy in, her dressing room who's claiming he's I want to make you a star, and she's like, oh my god, no, none of that. And then they get to sit down and talk. This is also where I put in my notes, this guy should be played by Udo Kier, because some of us are hyperfixated.
He would have stole the scene.
He would have done a good job.
Yeah,
this guy does good too.
He does.
This guy does.
He does pretty good.
This guy, who's walked in, Jurgen, looks like his name. He's an East German who's just kind of he's trying to get through to Leela that no, everything that has been said about us is a stereotype perpetrated by the West. It doesn't suck. It's not that bad. And she's just adamant that she's no, I don't like communists. My mother hates them, that sort of thing. So kind of uneducated.
Yeah, she's I don't want to go to the DDR, but they take out people's brains and put them in mental institutions.
They lobotomize you.
Yeah, they lobotomize you. Yeah, it's oh.
It's just very funny watching this native German speaker try to explain. And then she's just talking over top of him no, it's not good. So kind of a dumb blonde gig, but it works. And I think at the end he kind of wins her over.
Yeah, although he's as a talent scout, he's we have all the best, Jane Fonda and Joan Baez, and Leela's my daddy fought them in the war.
Yeah.
They're oh god,
oh god,
here we
are.
are.
Cut to some rude customers at the Burger Queen. Angie doesn't give a shit. She's just just eat it. She's I don't care. She does not care. So that's fun. And then you get another one of Angie's performances. She kind of reminded me of Eartha Kitt a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember everything. I don't remember what she sang about, but I remember her looking like Eartha Kitt. And it works out really well. Then it cuts to Tara kicking out Loretta of their shared room so she can sleep with the guy. And then there's another conversation where Tara's she wants to, before she fucks this guy, she's kind of wants to get the obvious out of the way, and that she's a penis. And this guy's kind of not wanting to talk. And at first he's when he finds out she tells him, he's very apprehensive, you know?
Yeah, he's basically like full on, this is entrapment and so forth.
Like, this will make me gay. I don't want that. All of that. But, like, after some talking through, they're like, he's like, all right, we'll try it. And I'm assuming it was a successful encounter because it looks like it works out pretty well.
Seems to be. In their spider's nest bedroom.
Yeah, as well as it can be and that sort of thing. Yeah, Loretta goes to Angie's room and is like complaining, and it's just like, oh my god, I have to be, work in the morning, I work the most hours, I still don't have a job, I don't, I still want to be an actress, and she's like all sorts of hysterics. And Angie's just sort of this like, mother figure of just like, I can shorten your hours from 8 to 6, let's just do 8 to 5:30, that sort of thing. But she's like, be thankful that you have a place to stay, that sort of thing. And then Leela walks in and it's just like, oh my god, I have bed bugs and this place is all, unsanitary. There's dog shit on the floor. And she's complaining and Angie's just like, quit drinking. Please. Please. And then you drop that Leela is now pregnant because of that East German guy. So yeah, I'm assuming it did work out.
Yep.
And she's just like, I have to have an abortion.
Yeah, and Angie's just like, you can't kill that baby.
It's murder.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then she was like, well, and then Leela drops, oh yeah, I was in a mental institution because I killed a man.
Yeah, there's a random murder involved that we did not see in the film.
It's like, I beg your fucking pardon. And Angie just after like a certain point just faints. She's just like, oh my god.
Well, Leela rationalizes it by saying, she's like, people kill babies after they're born. Why not before? What the hell are you talking about, lady?
I love it.
Yeah, and Angie is, she has sort of the same sort of, similarly sort of anti-Russian sentiment.
Tell me, what is the problem? Tell me what's the problem. I what?
Ich bin schwanger. I'm pregnant.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I'm pregnant.
From who?
By a communist.
By a what?
A communist, a commie, a fucking red.
God. Oh, my God. Oh,
my. My mother hates communism. What will I tell her?
I can't tell you, Jane. I don't know what to. Please stop drinking. Control yourself. Get yourself together.
I'm sorry.
God, it's such a sloppy job.
Where can I go to have an abortion?
I don't know. I never had a baby.
I gotta kill this baby. I don't want to ruin my life. I'm too young to have a baby.
A murderess.
It's not murder.
You want to kill that baby?
It's not murder.
You cannot kill a child.
People kill babies after they're born. Why not before? I'm too young. I'm too beautiful. I'm too...
You should have thought about that when you were getting fucked by that Russian.
Just because I like to get fucked by Russians don't mean that I want to have their children.
Oh, you're just disgusting, Lila DeClaire.
I know I'm disgusting. I know I'm disgusting. I have to kill it. I gotta kill the baby. I gotta kill the baby.
Oh, my God.
I gotta kill the baby.
What am I going to do with all you people?
Oh, you want a baby? I mean, how... You can't even take care of us now. I mean,
I don't want no goddamn babies.
See, you don't want a baby.
That's why I go with a woman, because I don't want babies.
You didn't tell me you were a lesbian.
You didn't tell me that you were a communist fucker.
Angie, help me. I'm gonna go crazy. I don't want to go back to the mental institution. I don't want to go back.
Mental institution?
I didn't mean to kill that man. He attacked me. I didn't mean to kill him. He attacked me. What am I supposed to do?
Oh, my God. You're crazy.
People die every day.
You're crazy. You're crazy!
Judith, because I'm assuming because like she just doesn't want to win on Tron any longer. She goes to practice alone. And right as Tron walks in, she fucking falls off the trapeze and she's injured.
I thought she's in a wheelchair. I really did. I was like, oh, that's
I thought she was dead too.
That's the end.
She's cool. Yeah. So because she ends up in a wheelchair, bandages and all, He has this, like, Tron has this, like, weird religious awakening. He's dressed like Jesus. His hair is even more He-Man. And, like, now he thinks he can heal people. Of course it doesn't work on Judith. But it's just, like, you get, like, this segment of him, like, walking out on the street with, like, his arms out. Very funny.
Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter street preachy sequence with a little bit of music, but the music doesn't fit the scene particularly, but it's somebody has a saxophone and they're just going crazy.
It's great.
It's fun.
It's wonderful. And then Leela is with the East German dude and is like, I want to get away, you know, he's like, I can make you a star. She's eating his tie during this entire, like, time he's talking to her and just, like, looking hysterically around. So that's the sort of character we got. He also wants information on the politician that she encountered earlier. And then not much is said of that after this. Cut to Gary's troop cult thing, just running around on the streets in the park, wearing very thin togas and nothing else under them, with lots of modern dance and a lot of very bizarre saxophone choices. Yes,
the gangster scene of, like, the well-dressed little person was also in Werner Herzog's Even Dwarfs Start Small.
We can't get away from the dwarves.
This little person's got, like, a small little pistol going on, and they're holding up the Burger Queen.
They are.
So it's like they have issues with back wages. I think the staff's a mess.
They do, yeah.
And now you have organized crime showing up.
It's messy.
It gets real messy. Yep.
It gets real messy here. The police basically, after this, like, encounter, like, with the troop in the park, they're basically like, all right, Gary, we're going to deport you because we want to keep Germany pure. And it's not good. And he's just not having a good time. I think Loretta, it's like Loretta comes to Angie because she's like, I finally got, a role in, like, this cool stage opera. And Angie's like, I don't believe you. And I still need people to work at the Burger Queen. And then Gary's like, they're going to deport me.
Well, and I think the roles weren't the roles, like, my recollection of it is that they were the ones offered. I don't know if they were taken or not, but
it was earlier. Yeah,
it was like chimney sweep or moon elf.
Yeah,
I was like,
they offered Gary the chimney sweep.
Perfectly respectable role. I mean, that's great stuff. But moon elf, that's couldn't be further.
Personally, that would be the one I go. Unless it's the chimney sweeps for Mary Poppins, then maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we don't endorse child labor or any of the history of chimney sweeps, but if you're ever interested, there are, like, brief documentaries about when they would get stuck and they'd have to send another one in to fish out the dead one and firing them off southbound. It was a hot mess of awfulness. It'll blow your mind that they're not just sadly not just a cute plot device in
it'll haunt me
fiction
forever.
Films. Yeah, the imagery is pretty harrowing stuff.
It will haunt me. And then it cuts to, I can't remember which one of them points out that, like, hey guys, Leela, has, like, the spot on, like, East German TV. I can't remember who. I think it might have been Angie. But one of them points it out and they're like, oh, let's go watch it. So they turn on the TV and that's when she sings the song about the Russian soldier. I don't know if it's an actual Jayne County song, but it's pretty good.
It really is. Yeah. It's one of the most fun in the there's not a lot of lyrical depth to it, but it's very catchy.
Russian soldier, I fell for his communist charm. I fell in love with a Russian soldier. He's my comrade in arms. He gets mad when I am gone. He never wants to leave me alone. He says that he in love with a Russian soldier. I fell in love with a Russian soldier. I fell in love with a Russian soldier. Now I fell in love with a Russian soldier. We go marching through the park. I fell in love with a Russian soldier. I just love Karl Marx. We're going to go to Afghanistan. Then we'll march into Iran. Then honeymoon in Pakistan. America, Siberia. I fell in love with a Russian soldier. 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 Hey! 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 Can I tell?
So after this performance, they're all celebrating. Tron just goes to his room because he's depressed. And then Gary, because he knows he's going to get deported, sets his room on fire.
As one
And
does.
the way everyone finds out about this is because Angie has to leave the party early because she has heartburn and wants to relax. And she finds out that Gary has fucking set his room on fire because everything smells like smoke. So that's not fun. And then, Gary's doing some weird religious thing with Tron. I'm assuming because Gary's black and Tron's white, I'm assuming there was some coming together metaphor that I just didn't catch.
Yeah, it was kind of like a love will save you, we'll pray together kind of deal. And then there's just stock footage of brush fires, building fires, marimba.
Yeah, or it's there's fires superimposed on the film. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's finally we get some good exterior stock footage because previously it's the former embassy, U.S. and French embassy in Germany.
The Nazi embassy.
Yeah. But Angie lives. She survives.
Angie gets out. She's on the streets. She's sad. You get a shot of Tron and Gary up in the sky as angels. And so for a hot second, I thought they died. Okay.
Yeah, it would make sense.
And then Angie stumbles onto the Burger Queen and the entire cast is there. And they're just singing, they're singing the City of Lost Souls song and they're having a good time. And Tron and Gary are there. So I'm assuming they're alive. So I'm assuming that's a liberation metaphor.
I think so.
And then, so after, Angie, then, they're performing. It's the second verse or something. Angie, walks in and she's performing. And, that's how the movie ends, is they're all singing and they're happy. And it's a really catchy song. So that's how this movie ends. I like it.
It's a lot of fun. We had a blast with it.
Happy this is the film of Praunheims we covered.
Considering the degree of seriousness of the other films, was okay, I think we chose the lightest material that still in moments has candid earnest to it as well. But yeah, I think even for folks that aren't so hot on musicals, there's only 4 or 5 songs in this. It's really not. It doesn't beat you over the head with show tunes or anything.
This is musical, I feel is a strong term for it. It's a film with some musical numbers.
Yes.
But it's not a musical. I mean, that sounds redundant, but it's true. Do you have your 3 favorites? Because I know you weren't
All right, so the first pick I had out of our 3 recommendations, this is a short film that's on Aeroplayer right now. It's from 2018 by Anthony Sneed, and it's titled Suck. It's about a man who goes off the deep end when his desire to buy a home from a real estate broker leads to an unusual choice. And so the gist of this is during home buying process, this guy is absolutely like, I have to have this house, and the agent obviously has the upper hand, and he makes this grown-ass man put his finger in his mouth.
I'm turning on my camera for this.
Yeah, so in order to get the deal done in the house, he has to put the real estate agent's finger into his mouth for the prospective buyer, because now after they get the house and they've moved in, he has this stuck in his head about this incident when his wife didn't see that he had this other guy's finger in his mouth in order to get the house deal done. And it keeps haunting him through his nightmares and daily existence. So he starts stalking the real estate agent in order to try to resolve this sort of trauma, I guess. And he's obviously going off the rails. This is like ruining his whole entire life. And he finds the agent, and they have some interactions and so forth. Yeah, there's
I'm not gonna watch this.
Yeah, it's fantastic fun. It's not,
because you showed me what was it? You showed me Meat Friend, which is the vegan thing.
Yeah.
And then what was the other one? The 80s video on acid, basically, with the energy drinks.
Arrow Player streaming service has been killing it with these shorts lately. Yeah. I don't know where they're finding all of it, but I don't care. It's really entertaining and strange.
I'm not complaining. Okay, what's your next pick? Quit laughing. What's your next pick? You have to say it. You have to say it.
Okay, my next pick is The Fall of the Louse of Usher, a gothic tale for the 21st century. And this is a Ken Russell film, which Ken Russell's done a lot of amazing things in his career. The Devil's probably one of the more notable titles. This film is awful. It promises all sorts of crazy antics. I don't know that I think I logged it, but I actually just couldn't even give it a rating. So this is more a warning, like a cautionary tale at the later years of Ken Russell. Don't think you're going to get something outstanding.
He did Altered States.
I put this really with the lower jokes of that just don't land, of the lesser trauma kind of fare. So it's like it promises murder, mayhem, mini-skirted nuns, all sorts of great that you're like, oh, this can be fascinating. It's not.
Ignoring the inflatable doll orgies.
Yeah.
Is there that at least? It's a big promise.
It's not. You just don't want to go down there. Just leave it be. Leave well enough alone. There's no reason to start tainting your preserved respect for Ken Russell. So just stay away. It's a cautionary thing. That's more just.
And you're recommending this because
due diligence, really. Keeping telling somebody a car wreck is about to happen and telling them to make the turn. That's
okay.
That's just being a good film citizen.
Okay. That's like how one of my recommendations for last episode was about to be to not watch Mortal Kombat Annihilation, because I did not. That was not a good time. You would think like having a group watch of it, at least like not a solo watch, would make it fun. No, not how it works in this house.
That's true.
So what's your
third
pick?
My third is Christiana Devil Nun.
Yeah,
it's Christiana, Devil Nun. It does have Carla Mancini because she's in everything, but it's for like three frames of the film, so it's completely unremarkable. However, this is like the height of the top tier, upper echelon nunsploitation that worked for me. I was like, this is fantastic, and it's like a remarkably kind of chaste film, although I guess there's different cuts that are a bit more graphic, but the version I watched was not that, and it was a blast. The music was great. It's Sergio Bergonzelli. He's crazy as hell. He didn't do a ton of films, but the ones he did are well worth adventuring into. In the Folds of the Flesh is by far my preferred Bergonzelli film, but Blood Delirium and there's others that are worth everybody's time. But yeah, Christiana Devil Nun delivers. It's an absolute blast. You'll have fun. You won't cry. There's nothing emotional about it, and there's car sequences that are great fun as well, because Christiana is working through a lot of issues, and we're really just here to kind of root her on.
It sounds like fun. I remember you telling me about that, and I was like, "Damn, I need to watch this."
I was pretty over the moon about it. I was pretty excited on that.
Because nunsploitation's kind of a hit or miss.
It is. As you know, it's not my preferred of Eurocult style of films. Yes. However, this one had all the fun, all the music, everything you would kind of want, and enjoyed that a lot.
I haven't seen a lot. I think I saw the Jess Franco one, The Devils, and that was all sorts of a lot of opinions about that.
Yeah, it's a tough. And the other one was... it's a really hit or miss one. There's moments I warm up to it. Yeah,
it's a hit or miss.
It was a miss for me for many years, and now I'm trying to enjoy sequences of it.
Trying to watch all of his shit. You're trying to complete everything, and I'm like, all right, we're on 2 completionist journeys, and they're just not going to work out at the end of the day.
Yeah, folks love it. People really,
there's an audience for it.
So Parker, what do you have?
Yeah, all right. Once again, going mainstream. I think I mentioned maybe a couple episodes ago that right before I boarded a plane, I watched the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Okay, well after I watched that, on the plane, I ended up reading Carrie in 3 sittings. And because I haven't seen the movie, the 1976 movie, since I was 13, I was like, well, why don't I just watch it again and get warmed up to it? Still a perfect movie. So that's one of my recommendations. Carrie, I'm sure everyone listening to this has seen it, definitely heard of it at least. Perfect movie. I was kind of taken aback by how much religion stuff was in it. Of course, with, the mother being this crazy zealot, fundamental, whatever, but it's very interesting and, kind of one of my guilty pleasures, is the kind of, good for her sort of ending, even if, maybe this ending isn't all, butterflies, but
the jump scare is still is so absolutely
it's wonderful.
It's really perfect.
You don't expect it.
No.
It's wonderful. And of course, the prom scene is perfect. So I love it. Next pick is something I watched for Criterion some time ago. I didn't intend to watch 2 Russ Meyer films this year, but I did it. One of them was Up, and that was for United Trash Research, unfortunately. And then the other one was Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. And I liked it better. To no one's surprise, I liked it much better. The tale of, these 3, young women going into show business and finding their way into all sorts of debauchery. At the very least, it's fun to look at, but it's just, I love the way, I think when Russ Meyer is not being just aggressively horny, it's written very well. It's edited very quickly. I feel like the runtime.
Did Kitten have a small role in Valley of the Dolls?
Mm-hmm.
Kitten Natividad?
No.
Okay.
No,
but she did do some work with Russ Meyer.
She did, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what she's most well known for, is her association with him. It's almost 110 minutes. And that's where I only have so much attention span, but it's edited quickly enough that I was able to kind of latch on. So I really fucking liked it, needless to say. And then my final pick is Liquid Sky.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Amazing.
I got so many. Okay, I did a photo shoot in May for a friend of a friend. And it was they needed a model for this finals thing they were doing at this, makeup academy. And she brought out the colored lights for one of the things I had to do. And I got so many comments that were oh, this reminds me so much of Liquid Sky and that sort of thing. And I only just now got around to watching it. And yeah, it's incredible. I don't know what else there is to say about it. I love the synth. Because I know Criterion recently put it in their on their streaming service because of like they have like this whole synthesizer category going at the moment.
The score is really tough for people on that film because it's
kind of turned me off for a little bit, but like you kind of get used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't like it. I love visually the film, and I actually enjoy the sort of genre of music that they use in Liquid Sky, but I was hoping for really for kind of, I don't know, more disco music or club danceable music, but instead you really get this avant-garde early industrial noise experience of clamorous tones, and people are dancing, but it's
weird.
It's very different than what you think visually is happening, and it kind of messes with the viewer.
I don't get it, but I like it.
Yeah.
Is it one of those things where I'm like, I don't understand any of this, but I like it.
I had to get over it, get past myself of like, why are they using the wrong music? It's when you know, if you're going to an opera, but then all of a sudden it becomes Trans-Siberian Orchestra, you're just like, no, this is wrong. This is not the right, you're using the wrong things.
That might just be you being stuck up.
Yes.
That might just be you being stuck up a little
bit. Yeah, a little bit. And I'm just going, okay, I can even identify these drum machines because I know what they are. However, in Liquid Sky, you do get, you either fall into where you accept it and you're like, okay, this is part of this. I have to just keep going. And then you really do grow to enjoy it because you're not so taken aback I think after as a multiple watch film, you're much more suited to have a much better time, second, third viewing kind of film. And I think it hits everybody sort of similar on the...
That explains a lot because I was like, I don't understand any of this.
Yeah.
All I know is Anne Carlisle playing both Margaret and Jimmy. Perfect. Amazing. Incredible. I want that. Maybe not bleach blonde. Like, I want it. But it's perfect and amazing. And yeah, that was a fun movie. So those are my recommendations.
3 good ones. 3 total classics. You're just going to get 2 recommendations from me and a cautionary tale because I'm that friend that sometimes, you know, we got to balance.
You're that guy.
My fanboy-ness of Christiana with a Ken Russell that is unimportant. Do not worry.
Maybe if I like end up watching like some modern horror film I don't like, maybe that'll be my cautionary tale. Be like, don't watch this thing.
Well, we have so much coming up for Junesploitation, like the Under Paris shark film. And
did you watch that?
No.
Have you seen it yet?
No.
Okay.
No.
I have okay. Because like Sharksploitation, I know people love their dumb shark movies. I have Mississippi River sharks. I'm scared.
Yeah, I catch them in Puget Sound.
I'm scared.
The mud sharks and so forth. And those assholes, instead of catching salmon, get onto my line and I have to use needle nose pliers to fish the lures out. And they're really aggressive and they scare me because I'm just trying to catch some fish. And instead, top 25 feet, welcome to sharks. They're like, just do your thing. They don't have crazy teeth. Like, they're not that scary, but they're still very aggressive and you don't want to be near them. And it's like, why did this happen?
It's like, if I want a Sharksploitation, can I just go to the aquarium?
That's the best place for it. It really is.
No. Junesploitation. It's been interesting, but there'll be an episode about it. Don't worry.
There could be 2. There's a lot to cover. We're going to hit highlights. Just keep it under 2 hours.
It'll be a fun episode. We don't have to like be serious. It'll be a fun episode.
We'll just pick the good ones.
Yeah. It'll be long. So cool. What are we doing next episode?
We're going to keep it gay.
It's still June.
Still June. It's still Pride. Okay. We're doing. So our next pick is going to be El Pico. AKA Overdose, Eloy de la Iglesia.
Oh, I'm here for that.
Where the borders of film and director's life blur heavily.
I need this.
And
it's been on my watch list for long enough. Yeah, I'd like to watch this.
The kinky films. Yeah, we're going to cover that. We're going right into the de la Iglesia, not Alex de la Iglesia, mind you. Nothing wrong with him.
It's kinky, you say?
Kinky, yeah.
It's
fun to say.
That'll be good or bad.
There's nothing like them, and that's as far as I'm going to go. They're basically about juvenile delinquency, also some orientation components, and violent crime and drug use, and
this will be interesting.
Yeah, they won't be boring. So we're going right for that. We just have to.
Well, because the English title's Overdose. That's what it pops up on.
I've never heard anyone call it Overdose, but I guess you could. Now,
cool.
There's also El Pico 2. There's the kind of the follow-up.
Why did they make
equally dark, brutal? Del Iglesias, great stuff, and there's nobody else like him. Super cool director. His personal life is just an absolute hellhole of depravity and drug use and being influenced by terrible people. And it's a ruinous kind of thing, but he made amazing films. So that's why we celebrate him. And El Pico next up.
This will be fun. Yep. All right. You can follow the podcast on Instagram at Where's My Mind Podcast. You can follow me on Letterboxd and Instagram at parkit_BE. You can follow Ryan on Letterboxd and Instagram at Ryan_BMD. No, I didn't say at the beginning of the episode, but we maybe released the first few episodes a week ago, roughly 6 days, pretty soon. And we're already seeing a lot of the support y'all are giving us. And it really does mean a lot. It's really sweet. It's it's two people who just, do this as a hobby. It really does, mean a lot, and we're really excited to keep going. So thank you all for, your support so far. I promise it'll be fun and exciting. So until next time, next episode is El Pico.
Played back queens with broken dreams, with lives that aren't quite what they seem, searching for the love that never lasts. Younger boys, computer hearts, making love with missing parts, transparent prisoners of the past. So come on, 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 to the city of lost souls. Traveling